everybody, back again for our fourth video. For you guys that were here on our earlier videos, you know we're building a Apache helicopter gunship PC theme build. And what we did in our other three videos, we installed our CPU, our storage drives, primary and secondary, and of course the last video we installed our RAM. 4 sticks, 16 gigs each, total of 64 gigs of RAM, RGB RAM. So that pretty much completed our board. So what we're going to do in this video here is we're going to test out what we already done. And the way we're going to do that is I am going to use a power supply that I keep around for doing PC repairs and diagnostics and things like testing these boards out. And so, but this isn't the power supply we're going to use in the actual build. This is just my workbench testing power supply. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of myself there up in the corner, because I'm going to make some more room on the screen so everybody can see this a little wee bit better. So let's get rid of me. And I'm gone. Okay. Now we have a lot more room here without my face in the way. So what we're going to do to test this board out, we got to hook up a switch. And you can get these test switches off of Amazon, eBay, or any computer supply store. I got this one off of Amazon. It has all the has two switches, one power switch, one reset switch, and a hard drive, and the power LED indicator. But the only thing we're going to need to test this board out is we're just going to use the one power switch. This one right here, which is the has the yellow and white wire on it. Now will correspond with the plug with the yellow and white wire on it. These are also marked. I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know if I can get that to focus. See if I can get that to focus. But that says power switch on it. There you go. You can see there it says, and that's the one you want to use. And you plug this in on your board on your front panel connector, which is, let me get this in view, which is right here. This is your front header panel connector. Each motherboard's a little bit different, so you have to read the documentation that came with your motherboard, and it'll tell you which one of these pins in this header socket does what. It's also marked on the board, but it's very, very little print. I mean, very small, so you're going to have to use a magnifying glass, or if you have a good set of reading glasses, to see which one of these pins to hook the power switch up on. For me, I've done so many of these gigabyte boards, I know automatically which one it is. It's the top vertical row, second set of pins in. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook that up right now for our first connection. So let me see. There we go. Top row, second set of pins in, and there you can see it's hooked up. So that's going to be our trigger switch to trigger this board to test it out. Like I said, we're only going to use this one switch right here. We don't have to worry about these other ones. We're not going to be bothered with them, just for testing purposes. And this is a momentary switch, which means, you know, you push it, it comes right back out like a doorbell switch. And this is used to power the board on, or the computer on, and to also shut it down, you would hit it a second time. So okay, we got that hooked up. So that's out of our road. And we'll just lay that aside. I already have a keyboard hooked up here and a mouse hooked up. I don't need to show you how to do that. I mean, of course, everybody knows how to hook a keyboard and mouse up to their I/O shield on their computer, which is in the back right here. And I'll show you right there. There's two USB cables up on the top. One's the mouse and one's the keyboard. The other cable right here is our HDMI out cable. I don't have another monitor to hook this up to test it, so what I did was I ran this HDMI cable into a capture card into my streaming PC. And what that'll do is that'll come through my studio software, and then you'll be able to see what I'm seeing. So, okay. So, the next thing we got to do is we got to hook up our power. So here we have our power supply, and on this power supply you have one main power plug. It's a 24-pin plug, and it only goes on one way. It's keyed and has a latch. It has a latch right here. You can only put that on one way. So, I mean, if you try to put it in backwards, it just won't go in. So you know which way to put in. These plugs are all keyed. So let's get that plugged in right now. Hopefully I don't get my hands on your road. I'll try to do this so you can see. So there's the plug, or the receptacle, and this is the plug, and we'll line that up on there. These are a real precise fit, so you got to have them pretty much lined up exactly. Oh, bear with me till we get this lined up in there. Okay, so it's lined up in there. What you want to do is you want to make sure that's completely fully seated, because if you don't, it won't make a good connection. So you want to push down on each side of it. Make sure there's no gap in the plug, between the plug and the receptacle. Make sure this latch is latched. So okay, there we got our main power supply plugged in, 24-pin connector. Okay, that powers this whole board up except for one thing, and that one thing is that CPU right there. That needs its own separate power supply. So let's get a set of cables for that. And there's two of these, and they come out of the back of the power supply right here. And this power supply is marked where all these what all these plugs are for. So that's pretty well straightforward and self-explanatory. So you want to take your CPU or two CPU plugs. One's an 8-pin. Well, actually, there's two of these. Let me get a hold of the other one. These are 8-pin connectors. There's two of them, and what these do is these split up into two sets of four. Because not all motherboards take an 8-pin. They'll take a 4-pin, so you can split this plug up. So this particular board we're working on here, this Gigabyte board, it takes one 8-pin and one 4-pin. So I took this 8-pin plug and I separated it. So we're only going to use one of these, and we're going to use all 8 of these. And they go back here on top. You can see the plugs back here where my finger's at. There's the 8-pin and there's the 4-pin. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug these in. Let's try to do this without blocking your view. But these are also keyed. You can only put them in one way. So there's our 8-pin connector. It's plugged in. And by the way, you want to make sure you have this power supply unplugged and turned off. You don't want any electrical spikes. Okay, so now let's plug our 4-pin connector in. Bear with me till I get this lined up. Okay, there we go. We'll take this extra one here we didn't need and just flop it aside. Okay, so we got our CPU power and got our main motherboard power plugged in. Get those wires out of the road. And we got our switch plugged in. And like I said, we already have our keyboard, our mouse, and our HDMI cable. Next thing we want to do is we want to hook up power to our power supply. It's right here. Comes Every power supply comes with these. So these go right. So there's your power supply, and there's a plug. And just make sure that's plugged in all the way in back. Make sure it's completely seated. Then you got a switch here on your power supply. You can see I have this power supply is off. Okay, so everything's plugged in on a board. So whenever I hit this on switch, you should see this board light up just instantaneously, just to initialize it. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay. Okay, we got power to the board, and we got our switches hooked up. And what I'm going to do is when I hit this switch, you're going to see if this works right. This here RGB memory is going to light up, and this board's going to go through a series of self-tests, and it's going to test to make sure there's CPU in it, what CPU it is, and check to see what memory's in it. And it's going to train the memory and just get itself all set up. This board may do it on the first try, or it may restart several times. So, okay, let's, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this switch. Hopefully it's going to light up our memory. And what I'm going to do, once this board fires up, I'm going to switch you over to the monitor that this board's hooked up to, or the capture card that this board's hooked up to, so you can see just what it does if it does post. And hopefully it will. So let's give this a try here. Okay, you can see our fan come on and our power supply. You can see our memory lit up. So let me get you over here onto the capture card. And hey, there you go. There's our BIOS, basic input and output system. And this is good because this shows that everything we did on this board, we did correctly. So this is where you go to set all your settings for your motherboard. Now, I don't have a cooler on this board, so I don't want to keep this lit up too long. But yeah, this is exactly what you want to see. It gives you the name of the board, what BIOS version it is, which we'll probably have to update, by the way. And it shows that we got our Intel i9 9900K CPU, 3.60 gigahertz, and excuse me, our memory running at 2133 megahertz. Now, if you remember, this is 3600 megahertz memory, so what we'll have to do is we'll have to enable the XMP on this board to get that memory up to its maximum running speed. And one of the first things you want to do on these boards, once you get into the BIOS here and it booted up, is you want to load optimized defaults. So that's the first thing you want to do. Like I said, I'm not going to run this computer board on too long because I don't have a cooler on it and I don't want it overheating. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to kill the board, since I know it boots into the BIOS and everything's working on it. So I'll get a switch back to the regular camera, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this switch that we use to turn it on, I'm going to hit it again, and what it does, it shuts everything down. So that's great news. Everything we did on this board in the last 3 videos actually works. So we didn't make any mistakes, and that means we can move forward to getting our case prep to accept this motherboard. We're real excited about this because when there's a problem and it doesn't boot into the BIOS, then you got to start looking for problems. And usually this is so easy to install these components that usually if you have a problem, it's going to be a bad component. Then you have to figure out which one it is. And that's why I keep extra components on hand so I can switch them out. And that's the easiest way to do it. So yeah, so we got one other thing I want to mention about this power supply too, by the way. This is a modular power supply, means that it don't already come with all the wires embedded into the case. It has just the plugs, and all you have to do is plug in the wires you're going to need. It gives you every single wire you ever need to build any computer, from the low end to the highest end. And all these are marked, and all you got to do is correspond the markings on the wire with the markings on the case. And you only plug in the ones you need. So like I said, this isn't the power supply we're going to use with our build. This is just a spare I keep around for testing boards and doing diagnostics and repairs and so on and so forth. So we'll be unplugging that power supply and putting it away for our next use. But yeah, there's our board. Um, it's all put together and works perfectly. So anything we do from here, like I said, is we'll in our next video we'll get our helicopter case out and we'll prep it for this board. What I mean by prepping it is those cases are designed to take a lot of different kind of motherboards, from a micro ATX to a mini ATX to an extended ATX and a standard ATX. And that's exactly what this board is here. This is a standard ATX board. And what it has 9 mounting screws, 3 across the bottom, 3 across the middle, and 3 across the top. And there's corresponding standoffs inside the case. And you move those standoffs around to different holes to line up with the holes on, whichever board you're going to use. You don't want to have any extra standoffs either, because you risk the possibility of that standoff hit one of the contacts on the bottom of the board where it's not supposed to and just short everything out. But I'll show you all about that whenever we install this into the case. So yeah, great. We did a good job on our board, and we're ready to go to install it into our case. I'm really excited about this. So we ain't gonna need this anymore. This was just for test purposes. So next thing we want to do is we want to take our power supply that we use to test this board out, and see here on the power switch on the back, we want to shut that off. We want to kill the power to this board completely, and also we want to pull the plug out when we unplug it to, just for safety purposes. And then we could pull all our plugs back off the board, pull our HDMI cable out and our mouse and keyboard out, and put this board for now back in the static proof bag that it came in, just to keep it protected, and put it back in the box it came in. That way it's protected and waiting on us for waiting for us to get the case ready. I may have to use a different camera or even 2 cameras to do the next video on the case, because it's a big case and it's going to be laid out in a larger area. So yeah, so that's about it for this video. Like I said, I don't want to make these videos too long. I just want to make them as short as possible, and we'll test everything as we go, like I said, and we'll do things slow, step by step by step, so everything has a basic understanding how to do this if you want to, build your own computer. It's fun to do. It saves you some money, and you can always contact me through my email if you want to, if you have any problems, if you decide to do this yourself, or give me a call on the telephone. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps me out a lot. And that's about it for this show tonight. I want to thank you again, and want everybody to have a great evening and a great day tomorrow. And thank you very much.